What does the word graffiti mean to you? Maybe you think vandalism, or maybe you think art. Maybe you sit somewhere in between. Come with me on a journey as we explore graffiti and street art, and I aim to change a few perspectives. I'm Kate Cox. I'm a neurodivergent creative producer and the organiser of a Worcester event that celebrates this urban scene. I'm often asked to go onto the radio to talk about graffiti, and I have to balance the fine line between the illegality and the culture. I'm not here to make you like it, and I'm not here to always condone it, but I hope to offer a better understanding of the scene as a whole and look at some of the things that make it culturally unique. So why do I think it's special? I've travelled to many places across the world seeking out this art form, from the Colombian barrios to Belfast political pieces. Stickers, paste-ups, tags, stencils, graffiti, murals. Sometimes hidden, sometimes huge. There's art on the streets everywhere if you look for it, and it's free. Here we have an art form that is for everybody. There's no exclusivity. It can make you smile and literally stop you in your tracks. Its roots are embedded in underground culture, the frustrations of life, social and political injustice, and expressing yourself passionately. It sits outside of normal parameters, and as a neurodivergent person who struggles with the dynamics of social norms, this scene has been a natural draw for me. As a teenager growing up in the 80s, I was obsessed with Madonna. She dated this really cool guy, an artist called Jean-Michel Basquiat. He pushed creative boundaries and hung out with all the cool kids like Andy Warhol and Keith Haring. And sadly, he was the epitome of the phrase, live fast and die young. My special interest in him led me into a scene that had been bubbling away in New York. There was this new music called hip-hop. I loved it. I had this picture disc 12-inch of Grandmaster Flash's White Lines, and I listened to it on repeat over and over and over and over and over and over again. I knew it word for word, and I still do. There was also a wild art form of letters and characters that had begun to adorn the subway carriages. They called themselves writers. This new art form had evolved from writing your name on everything and anything, which is known as a tag, and usually in one colour. Now, this had been prolific across Philadelphia and New York since the 1960s. These trains became the passion of two local photographers, Martha Cooper and Henry Chalfont, who carefully documented these brand new canvases and released a book in 1984 called Subway Art. When this book hit the rest of the world, the scene, which was already bubbling away, literally exploded. There were crews all over the UK who had come together to make their marks, even here in Worcester. And although it went out of fashion to some degree with the rise of rave culture in the late 80s, it has always been there, on hidden places and tucked away walls. Jump to the 90s, another evolution was taking place. Other styles were appearing, picking up the name street art, a term used previously but now being used to describe murals of all subject matter and mediums, and often with permission. Over the last 3 decades, we've seen street art grow and grow. And now, mural art is a must-have for every town and city. So has it become mainstream? People often say to me, oh, we love murals, but not that graffiti rubbish. Yet, graffiti writing is truly skilled. Complex, intertwined fonts, barely readable. High quality depth and dimension, shadows and highlights, combined with characters and nods to people and places. It's seen as a lesser art form, and yes, a tag might be basic for fear of getting caught, but even this simple form delivers maximum impact with minimum resources, showing intention, not careless execution. A tag is never expletive. It is only ever about getting your name up somewhere visible. Get yourself out to a legal wall, which is a place where these artists can practice safely, and look at the high quality and skill involved. However you might feel about it, I hope it would encourage a different view. Now think about how you might feel when you see a mural. Turning a corner to be faced with a giant lion, for example. Does it make you chuckle? Contemplate? Maybe it makes you feel scared. Or maybe it's just not your thing. But what about the scale? It's amazing how these artists create works so big, and some don't even use designs. They just go up and paint instinctively. Scale is such a major wow. Street and graffiti art have a proven track record of boosting community engagement, reducing antisocial behaviour, transforming dodgy alleys into vibrant spaces, encouraging tourism and footfall, and generally making a place feel revitalised. Now, even within the scene, there are graffiti purists who would argue that their art is nothing like street art, that it's driven by illegality and staying underground. But I want you to consider a bigger picture. I believe that graffiti writing and street art are naturally linked. They are two branches of the same family tree. They share the same cultural and historical DNA, and they both use the streets as a platform to create one very unique scene. So, how does this scene stand alone from other creative mediums? I've worked across the creative industries and I've noticed some unique characteristics. First of all, there's identity. Sure, maybe all artists strive to create their own unique style, but for street and graffiti artists, this is crucial for recognition on the streets. It goes right back to the tag itself. It's your calling card. You need a distinguishable look so that someone can walk down the street and say, oh, wow, there's a shepherd fairy. Oh my gosh, there's a peaches. Oh my God, is that a Banksy? You earn respect by developing your own style, so completely copying somebody else's work is a big no-no. Here is a scene where your style and your name are your currency. Then there's the community, nurturing, connecting, collaborating. In my experience, artists in this scene build a really down-to-earth family. They have a code of conduct, a lack of ego and superiority, even with the world-renowned names, and they have a respect for each other and each other's work. One of the most interesting things about this family are the bloggers. Totally unique to this scene, they travel the world following street and graffiti art events. They know everyone, the artists and the organisers, and they are integral, documenting and sharing on social media. Where else would you get ongoing global free marketing like that? Something else I've noticed is around motivation. Artists working in this field are driven more by the desire to get work out there than by money itself. Now, that's not to say they shouldn't be paid. Of course, all artists need to be paid, but the drive is different. They're striving for the biggest walls, the best exposure. Not unlike train carriages decades before. Also, there's visibility. Having an outdoor platform allows for public experimentation to really test the water with new work and new audiences, and to gain exposure in a totally different way to a gallery or a studio artist. Your work is accessible and inclusive. Everyone can be your audience. So what began as a basic tag grew into an edgy underground scene, then evolved into the large-scale wonders of more palatable street art. This scene has inspired clothing brands, music, film, and culture across the world. It's battled the more traditional art world to make art that is truly for the people. The recent demand for murals, however, is a double-edged sword. Now, everybody wants a piece of the action. Sometimes commissioned murals are used to cover up graffiti, and sometimes with artists who are way outside of the scene itself. Now, this can sterilise dynamic painting spots and raise tensions with local writers, which could possibly explain why some murals might get tagged or painted over. And while demand legitimises the art form to some degree, it is now so oversaturated that some artists who have worked in this scene for years struggle to find work. So is this a symptom of success? Or has the scene become watered down? I recently heard that a resident in a southwest town with an annual street art event said, "The town has become too colourful." I'm going to let you think about that for 1 second. Life moves in cycles, and whatever happens next, or however you might feel about tagging, about graffiti writing, or about street art, I want you to go away today with a different understanding of this cultural movement up until this point. And for now, the next time you find yourself faced with a giant masterpiece or a simple tag on the streets, I hope you will think about the bigger picture. Consider that this scene encompasses tagging, graffiti writing, and street art murals. They are organically interlinked. And love or hate it, think about the cultural and the political importance, the history, and the battle to be heard and seen equal to and not less than other art forms. And finally, consider that this is a standalone creative movement in its own right. An incredible scene spanning 60 plus years that comes with its own rules and ways of doing things, but with respectful nods back to its gritty, authentic origin. Thank you.